way to point. My mother as well, I feel so bad for her because she's home most of the time, and sometimes she just wants to go to like the Panjam market or the doctor, but she can't unless.
I mean, you all come into the business of bespoke uniforms. I'll just share one example like how it is necessary. Last year I did some uniforms for a school where I had to visit that school at least 6 to 8 times. As I said, it is a bespoke uniform. So every time I went there, I hired a taxi because again I am dependent on my husband to take me anywhere. But first hours he is not there; he is busy with his own work. So I had to hire a taxi. So around 8 times, and the taxi driver every time he charged 1200. So see, it comes to 9 to 10,000, which really digs into your profit. 10,000 going out of, and many of my business, every time I visit a resort or anywhere, minimum 5 to 6 times I have to go. So this digs into my profit, which is a big amount, 7 to 8,000 from my own profit goes. So yes, we really need, and taxi people, they charge for the waiting also, which is 4 hours or 3 hours. So yes, we really need this app-based taxing.
And for that matter, that steps out to perform at a live performing show, you need reliable rides back home. I think today the taxi cars need to understand that only if they would let go of this preconceived notion that their major business is coming from tourists. No, I am telling you, brothers, give us a chance. You will have no time for tourists. When my parents and everyone comes from outside of Goa, no matter how busy I am, the moment they tell me, okay, we booked our tickets, we are coming for 2 weeks, I start feeling nervous. Yeah. Because now either me or my husband, one of us has to be on standby at home to take them for sightseeing everywhere, which is something you never need to do anywhere else. So it's high time. The women of Goa need taxis for their own use. The people of Goa need taxis. Let's stop being tourist-centric. We have enough population of our own to sustain this business beautifully. Thank you.
When it quietly takes away the opportunity to work, to study, to go to an important a meeting, and to be independent. So yeah.
Projects in South Goa because the commute kills me. So if I do a visit, I'm done for the day. I'm not able to do anything else. So I club a couple of site visits, and by the end of the day, I would spend the entire day traveling. So a taxi which I can pick and drop at whatever location would help me get my work done while I'm commuting. In addition to that, I have a teenage daughter, and for everything she needs me, I have to drop my important things and then go drop her somewhere, pick her up, and I think that time could be efficiently used. Along with the fact that it will be an app based, so I know exactly who's driving her and when she is going to reach, and obviously I can even pay for it online. So app based would really help, and in addition to the rest of the family as well, like my son has to be picked up from the airport or whatever, I'm spending my time and effort doing the same, and it will probably cost me the same to do the saving time. So I'm looking at it for more efficient work-life balance for me.
I love to drive, but do I have to drive? I keep traveling all over Goa to our different Taj properties out of the Taj. That drive to South Goa to Benali is beautiful in those 45 minutes. I get clear minutes, rain seeing water falls. While I'm at it, don't you think I should be able to book a cab ride from my mother-in-law is 84 to visit her sister's
Then I start looking out to friends. Okay, is someone going to drop all of their work to come and make sure I get a job, leave their job so that I get one? And that's just not as reliable or sustainable in the long run. And I feel like, as a lot of women here have spoken about today, being dependent on other things, and I feel like we as women first and humans of course second as well, need to take the opportunity and need to take the control back into our hands so that we can determine our opportunities, our livelihoods, not determined by any other external factors, but our own skill set, competencies, and livelihoods.
So full support to you, 3G in the world of 6G. There I dursta, as she has said. And in Goa we have a nightlife culture and weekend culture, and sometimes we do joy over joy. So that time we really search, like, we can't mix 2D. So that time I miss this app thing. Yeah.
Before we move on to question answers, I would like to invite Kirti to tell us about some of the guidelines which the Transport Department has, laid for these app-based aggregators.
I have been working with the Director of Transport, Mr. Prabhaval Abhishek. We have tried to make these guidelines as comprehensive as possible. These guidelines, these aggregator guidelines do not only cover the licensing procedures that these Goa Transport Aggregator Guidelines of 2025, they have been notified on 20th of May 2025. We are inviting objections at this moment to these guidelines. I want to take you through the proper structure that we have followed in these guidelines. These guidelines start from providing a process of licensing to the aggregators. Now, the aggregators, after receiving the license, they have to onboard, they have to commence their business operations within 6 months, so that there's a timeline set for all of you. I understand that you have been waiting for app-based taxis for a long while, and that is why we have set up a timeline under these guidelines, because we want to ensure that the aggregators who receive license from the Goan government, they commence business within 6 months from receiving the license. Now, these guidelines do not only govern the aggregators, they also ensure employment opportunities to the Goan population. Not just Goan population, female Goan population in particular. So in these guidelines, we have ensured that the aggregators follow certain conditions, right? So the aggregators cannot in any way bar women drivers or bar any drivers to onboard with other aggregators. So they have options available for themselves to create their own employment opportunities, to govern their own conditions of employment. These guidelines also ensure that the drivers who are onboarded with the aggregators get health insurance. Specifically, female drivers get health insurance not just for themselves but their family. These guidelines also ensure that there's a regulation of fare and tariff. Now, aggregators have to ensure that the owners get their fares as early as possible. In case they do not get the particular fare for each journey, they can raise a dispute, they can raise a complaint. The aggregators have to ensure that they get the amount that they are entitled to within 72 hours. Now, this is to ensure that the drivers are not left without any recourse after each journey. They get their due payment within time. There are other incentives also which are provided to the drivers and female drivers who want in form of vehicle purchase subsidy, so that the drivers, female drivers particularly, have a support from the government in purchasing their own vehicle, getting on board with the aggregators. Again, there is a waiver provided to the aggregators for renewal of license fee, so that these aggregators are on their own. They understand that they will be getting an incentive if they hire more female drivers, right? they will get a 100% waiver of renewal fee if the 20% of their fleet is female drivers. Apart from this, there is also an angle of safety of consumers. We want to ensure that the aggregators and all the vehicles that are onboarding display the driver's license and the vehicle permit on the vehicle. Additionally, we are also ensuring that the identity of the driver is same as that shown on your apps. Now, this guidelines we have tried to make it as comprehensive as possible, not just for the consumers, but also for the drivers, female drivers who are going to be onboarded with the aggregators, providing incentives to all of them, providing incentives to the aggregator to hire more female drivers, and yeah, it's a great step. I feel I have heard all of your concerns. I am sure if you have any objections or suggestions to these guidelines, you can even address that within a period of 30 days from the notification of these guidelines. These guidelines were notified on 20th of May, and I'm sure the Director of Transport would love to hear all of your suggestions. Thank you.
So, do we have any questions?
I do not live in Banjul. I live in Old Goa. The thing is that with all these digitized apps, whether it is your 10-minute delivery or whether it is taxis, you always see a more flourishing network of drivers and delivery people across major areas like Panjim, Margao, Vasco. So they are confined and they are just, going around there. I would really appreciate if the government can actually come up with some, again I'm speaking for the taxi cars, because the only way this will become successful is if the taxi people see some value in it. It's as simple as that. So for the areas, like for example, a friend here just mentioned when she has to go to Benolem, or when somebody has to go for a project to South Goa, when you have to go to Ponda, or for that matter, when you have to go to Sakli or somewhere. The point is that if you are on an aggregator app, if you're a taxi driver that is registered to be on an aggregator app, you have to ensure that those taxis are available everywhere. Which is otherwise half the purpose of the entire thing is defeated. What is the point of installing a local Goa Miles or any other app if for 40 minutes it is just circling, searching for a ride and nothing is available? So that deep penetration of the taxi network is something that we are really hoping for.
Right, correct. That is why we have come up with incentives to onboard more and more drivers. And specifically female drivers, because we also want to ensure that the drivers that aggregators are onboarding are not just males. The Goan women, the local Goan women should get equal opportunities, right? So these guidelines work twofold. They do not only ensure that you get drivers wherever you want, but also that the drivers, the local Goan population who want to work as drivers, they get this. Yes, correct.
Also, could I just coordinated field? So it would really, and this is something I already put in as a recommendation, that we do two things: little more education around digital literacy, because that's how this will be more accessible, and also not just creating safe spaces for women workers, right? Because you're entering a very male-dominated field, so there should be trainings and a little bit more community awareness around it, so that I feel safe. I feel very great when I see a woman driver, but I think little more, for lack of a better word, PR around it, to be like, these women belong in all spaces. So really, how can we create awareness amongst communities and passengers and everybody that this is a space that's okay for women to also work in, because India is not necessarily okay with women in all spheres of work. So I think it's something that we need to keep in mind when we're enforcing this.
Correct. So these guidelines are just the first step that we wanted to take. I think this is very important that we take a first step. I understand that there are other concerns that are going to be there, but after taking this first step, I think we can hold more discussions like these. I think we can work towards creating more awareness about these guidelines, and I think it'll work in favor of all of us.
What about the present taxis? They will also continue? There will be a parallel system, or they will stop?
Now,
I think we are giving them a choice to join that.
Everywhere there are apps, but there are still private taxis.
No, I would like to answer this. giving a choice to the taxi drivers. They have a choice whether to join the aggregators or not join and operate independently.
And even the rent-a-bike and rent-a-car should be stopped.
See, we are starting with cabs, and slowly perhaps they would onboard auto rickshaws and even the bikes on it.
Like
Yes,
Rapido.
definitely. Let us start. Let us just take the first step. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Kirti. So, so many private universities are coming to Goa. So it's not, I think, just time that we do it. It's the right time that we must do this. Because when every state can do it, why should we be left behind? And this initiative will not just help us women grow, it will create jobs, it will boost tourism, and of course, it will modernize the way Goa moves and thinks, right? So let us get independent. Let us not be left behind. Let us have a state where transportation is not just a struggle, but a smooth ride into the future. Yeah. So thank you so much. Thank you media, thank you press for being here today. Thank you all you women. You all spoke so well. Each one of you highlighted a different outlook altogether. So I'm so thankful that we are here, and we just make, on behalf of Women's Wing and all the women of Goa, we want to be heard. We have a voice, and we want an app-based taxi maybe soon enough, and we shall definitely celebrate it as well. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you.
Come closer.